Welcome back to LockNReload. So, this is my after action, my review on the ArchAngel 556 kit by ProMag. As you all know, ArchAngel is a division of ProMag. ArchAngel and ProMag are one and the same. ArchAngel is their development to come up with a cool polymer weapon platform. So far they've come up with one for the M1A, the 1022, whether it be their Nomad kit or their 556 kit. I believe they came out with one for their Mini 14, and so it is what it is. Anyway, a little bit on this particular platform. As you saw in the footage, that I've been doing some extensive shooting with this. Again, I apologize for the background noise. My neighbors upstairs, their furnace has been going on constantly, non-stop. Like, it hasn't shut off in 3 days. So bear with me on that. So I do apologize for that. Not that you care, but whatever. Anyways, the ArchAngel 556 kit. This is your standard 556 kit. This did not come with the bayonet or the display bayonet. This obviously did not come with the barrel. This is my heavy Elysium Arms target barrel, which this is still under review. Stay tuned for the actual after-action review on that. We still have some accuracy testing and whatnot to go ahead and do so. That being said, a little bit what I have on here. 556 kit and Ruger 1022. My two accessory rails, they're actually Magpul's 2-inch or 6-slot rail system, and I have one on this side, and then I also have one on that side. This is my mount for my bipod when I go ahead and do some of my accuracy shooting. And of course, this is my BSA classic scope. It's a very, very cheap and inexpensive scope, but it gets the job done for 1022. This is a riser made by Weaver, and we'll get into why I have a riser on this. Again, this weapon platform was developed to be an AR trainer, which is cool because it has all the features and all the function, well, all the features and the looks of an AR-15. But it does have the dummy magazine release, which obviously doesn't work because my mag release is down here. And then of course you got your multi-position stock, which does hang up occasionally. Wasn't a huge fan of that. Now the good points, we're going to start off with the good points, what I love about this platform. I love the ergonomics of this one. Mine's a little heavier than most because of the heavy target barrel, so this one is not into weight specifications unless I was rocking an AR-15 with a heavy target barrel, but then it would be relatively close. So this one weighs a lot more than your standard like M4. Anyways, cool thing is it's very comfortable, very easy to assemble, and everything dropped in on this. I was very, very happy. I apologize for not putting out an assembly video on there, but there's enough of them out there. I didn't feel the need to do so. That being said, being able to adjust the length of pull to whatever the shooter is cool. The grip on here is very, very solid, very comfortable. The only thing that I'm probably going to adaptate to this one is probably a universal Hogue stock. This one does have a storage in the pistol grip. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is there's actually a storage in the stock, and this is very unique how this comes off, by the way. Basically, you got to pull that open, and this comes down, and then it should theoretically pull off, like so. What a lot of people don't realize, and I didn't know this, it has a storage spot storage area right in the simulated buffer tube. And then to go ahead and put it back on is the same way. I push it down all the way to the end, hold that in, and then that clicks back into place. Therefore, and voila, you are back in action. But yeah, the storage area right in the simulated buffer tube, which is cool, and in the pistol grip. On the other side here, what I found very unique about it is you actually can see your serial numbers. They have a cutout for that for your serial numbers, so I find that kind of cool. The fact that this top cover, basically this is a 3-part kit. You have your top receiver cover, your lower receiver cover, and then your forearm. They all bolt together. My initially putting this together, I thought this was only bolted on 2 sides, but actually it's bolted there, and then it also has the coinciding 4 bolts to go ahead and bolt into your receiver, which I thought was absolutely wicked. So you have a very rigid platform. Being able to add rails is really cool. I mean, you can go under promag.com to get their rails. I went with Magpul's MOE because I didn't need anything extravagant, more aesthetics than anything. The fact that it came with a magazine release. The one thing that I like about this magazine release versus like the ArchAngel Nomad kit, this mag release is actually made of metal. The Nomad kit, that one's plastic, but then again the Nomad kit's got a longer magazine release, and then it also has the auto bolt release and the extended auto bolt release. You know, just the fact that, you know, this thing's comfortable, it feels very comfortable in my hands, and it is what it is. You can, you know, access everything really nicely. You know, you can go ahead and, you know, take out your magazines, you know, put them back in. And then go ahead and put another magazine in, and it goes in. Alright, so these are the things I like, and some of the things that I actually like about this one. Before we get into the bad, the bad parts about this, and again, I'm trying to make this non-biased as possible, so I'm not trying to be biased by any means. I absolutely love this kit, so don't get me wrong. Granted, this thing looks like an AR trainer, but I find it more of an AK trainer. Reason being is your magazine release is right here. My magazine release on my AK is in the same spot. Charging handle, it's right there, same spot as my AK. So this is my 5.56 AK-47 trainer. Has the ergos of an AR-15, but has the function of the function of an AK. And that's not a Pro Mag thing. That's not an ArchAngel kit. In fact, that's the way the Ruger 1022 is designed. So it is what it is. And the fact that go ahead and put my factory magazine back in. Alright, so those are the good points. I absolutely love this stock. I would not trade it for the world. But I do have some discrepancies with it. They're not necessarily bad, they're just some discrepancies and some of my cons that I don't really care for. Starting off, we're going to start off with the forend. Now if you look, there are 2 bolt holes that go right here. Now I'm afraid to go ahead and put a red dot or any form of sight on here, because you have to bolt them. You have 2 bolts on each side. So you could be, when you go ahead and tighten them down, this side could be, it could be more over on this side or more over this side. What I found myself doing is taking a caliper and measuring on each side to make sure that it's centered. So that I'm not a huge fan of that. Also, when you use the actual rail system and use the scope, your eye is way down here. I don't really care for it. I had to go get ahead and put a riser on it, so it lifted the scope up, so I can go ahead and, you know, actually shoot with it comfortably. Because if you went ahead and put a cheek riser up here, you're just going to be off kilter. So I went ahead and put a Weaver's 1-inch riser up. Those are my bad parts on that. Also, it was a very, very tight fit in the magazine well. If you look, magazines drop out really, really nice. When I initially got this, to put the factory 10-round magazine in, I would have to hit the release and then stick my finger in the actual chamber and push the magazine and then pull it out. It was a super tight fit. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I just had more work I had to do with it. I went ahead and beveled out. Actually, see if I can show you. I went ahead and actually beveled out the actual mag well. Beveled that out and took a little material off on the inside, so everything, you know, fits in like a Ruger 1020 magazine should. 1022s in my eyes, because of the way they've been designed, you know, put a magazine in, you hit the mag release, it should just fall out naturally. And it was not doing that, so I had to do some fit and finishing. Not saying that's a bad thing. I'd rather have something too big than too small. Too small I can't work with. Too big, I can work with that. That being said, I wasn't very, very happy with the plastic and how it was holding out on certain spots. Mind you, I did not have any form of solvent on here. Granted, I was running it in the winter, but there wasn't really a whole lot of salt content out at the range. And I was developing this white, it could be a Wisconsin thing, but white residue on my stock. I wasn't too thrilled about that. Because again, these things are not cheap. These things are about $123 a copy. I've seen them, some of them go for, you know, a little under $100, but you're going to be paying, you know, between $100 and $130 just for the kit. And for that kind of money, you want things to be somewhat good, for the lack of better words. But other than that, by the way, I was very happy with the fact that I can run a standard barrel and then put a heavy target barrel on it too, or a heavy bull barrel, whatever you want to call it. The goofy flash hider, fake flash hider, I thought was kind of, whatever. Kind of in my drawer of parts now. But other than that, everything is what I expected. Including, I wasn't expecting to have single point sling mounts here, or sling mounts. You have one in the rear of the stock, and then you have one also right there as well too. And which is really, really nice. So if you have one of those quick disconnects, and it's ambidextrous, so you can have it on the right side here, or you can have it on the left side, both sides. The front sling mount, if you run one, you're going to need a rail system to go ahead and do so. But all in all, I happen to like it. It is very functional, very comfortable. Outside of the minor discrepancies, I can work around. I do recommend it. If you got a little bit of time of fit and finishing, go ahead. I mean, everything drops in. Everything was great. I was very happy with it otherwise. Other than the fact that I have to raise my scope, and the fact that you can essentially be off kilter with the handguard. The fact that I had to bevel out the actual magazine well. Everything else is good in my book. That being said, I do recommend it. But at any rate, this is Lock and Reload with your ProMag's ArchAngel Developments 5.56 kit for the Ruger 1022. This is Lock and Reload. As always, I'll catch you later.